Hello, and welcome back. In today's episode, we get to explore Château de Chambord in France. As always, I'm your storyteller and historical guide through castles, Christopher. And with me, as always, is the trebuchet with the most energy as a co-host, Trebby.
What Christopher failed to mention was, I'm not just a trebuchet. I'm not just launching boulders. I launch most Googled facts, provide humor to history. Big job, big job. And not to mention, I'm good looking. I'm good looking. Tell me what's cooking.
Okay, before you go launching chaos, would you like to welcome our listeners to the show?
Of course, I would love to welcome them. Everyone, without further ado, welcome to...
Castles from around the world. Raise your voice, let the banners unfurl. Castles from around the world. Every stone's got a story to hurl. Sing it loud, sing it proud, sing it true. From the ancient to the ruined and new. Castles from around the world. We come to wander the ages with you.
It's time for history. All right, listener, there's 4 bullet points to history. 1 castle, and stay with me now. Bullet 1, who built it and why?
The story of the Château de Chambord begins with ambition, specifically the ambition of Francis I of France. Francis I wasn't just a king. He was a Renaissance ruler in the fullest sense. He was well educated, image conscious, and deeply competitive, especially with one man, Charles V. Europe in the early 1500s wasn't just ruled by armies, it was ruled by appearances. Power had to be seen. Francis I had just returned from Italy, where he encountered the grandeur of Renaissance architecture, its symmetry and proportion, buildings designed not merely to defend, but to impress. And he wanted France to outshine its rivals. So in 1519, Francis commissioned a structure that wasn't meant to be practical. It wasn't meant to be efficient. It was meant to be unignorable. Chambord was built in the middle of a forest, far from Paris, far from political necessity. That alone tells us something. This wasn't about grandeur, this was about legacy. Francis wanted a monument that said, I belong among the great rulers of history, and he spared no expense.
History bullet point number 2. What did it represent?
At its core, Chambord is symbolism in stone. The castle fuses medieval French tower forms with Italian Renaissance ideals. From the outside, it looks like a fortress with moats, massive towers, and thick walls. But inside, it behaves like something entirely different. The centerpiece is the famous double-helix staircase, 2 intertwined spiral stairs that never meet, allowing people to ascend and descend without ever crossing paths. That wasn't accidental. Historians believe the staircase symbolized order, harmony, and divine symmetry, ideas central to Renaissance philosophy. Some even suggest it was inspired by the circle of artists that Francis I admired, including Leonardo da Vinci, who spent his final years in France. Chambord wasn't built to say, I'm safe. It was built to say, I am cultured, I am enlightened, I understand the future. Even the rooftop tells this story. An almost surreal skyline of chimneys, lantern towers, and sculpted forms that make the castle look like a city unto itself. To visitors in the 16th century, Chambord wasn't just impressive, it was overwhelming. A physical expression of royal ego, yes, but also of Renaissance ideals transplanted onto French soil.
History bullet number 3. How did it actually function?
Here's where history gets honest. Chambord barely worked. The castle contains over 400 rooms, yet most were difficult to heat. Fireplaces were abundant, but smoke control was poor. And winters in the Loire Valley, they're unforgiving. The building was enormous, but impractical. Francis I himself spent very little time here. Chambord functioned mostly as a ceremonial hunting lodge, used briefly during grand events, then abandoned once again. It was expensive to maintain, difficult to staff, and wildly inefficient. The gap between intention and use is exactly why historians love Chambord. It shows us that power doesn't always produce wisdom. The castle wasn't a failure, but it wasn't a success in the way it was imagined either. It became a symbol first, and a hunting lodge second.
The fourth and final history bullet point. Number 4. What happened to it over time?
After Francis I, Chambord passed through royal hands, military use, and long periods of neglect. During the French Revolution, much of its furnishings were sold or destroyed. The castle survived largely because it was too massive and too inconvenient to repurpose easily. In the 19th and 20th centuries, restoration efforts began. Slowly and deliberately, Chambord was stabilized, not as a royal residence, but as a historical monument. Today, it stands as one of France's most recognizable castles, not because it shaped daily life, but because it captured an idea.
Vision flawless. Reality drafty.
Chambord answers our 4 questions clearly. Why was it made?
To declare power.
What did it mean?
A Renaissance ideal carved in stone. Immortal.
What actually happened?
Reality resisted yet another dream.
Why do we still care?
Because ambition leaves marks, even when it fails.
Chambord isn't the story of a perfect castle. It's the story of human aspiration. And sometimes that's more interesting.
And guess what? Now that the history's over, it's time for my time to shine, because I'm shiny. Now, welcome to Trebi's Corner. It's where I get to tell you cool facts about the castle because I Googled them on the internet. Here is my top 3. Number 3. People asked, how much is Château de Chambord worth? The quick Google answer is $1 billion. I wonder, do they take nuts and bolts because I'm a trebuchet? Number 2. Who owns Château Chambord? The French state has owned the chateau, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, since 1930. Whoa! And number 1, the most Googled fact I found that I really enjoy. Number 1. Did Château de Chambord inspire Walt Disney's Beauty and the Beast castle? And yes, he did, because in a new Swanstein episode, we talked about how Walt Disney was on a tour around Europe like a creative rock genius. And there you go, that's Trebi's Corner, where I gave you all the hot facts faster than any other siege weapon. Because I'm a trebuchet, and this is my corner. Bye! I'm just saying, Christopher, if I lived here, I'd simply become a mysterious presence.
You already are a mysterious presence, Trebi.
Exactly, but here, it'd be elevated, echoes, footsteps, people whispering, was that history or vibes?
You would barely last one night before trying to host some kind of guided tour.
Welcome, travelers, to the left, ambition, to the right, Christopher, regret, and drafty.
Okay, slow down. That's the thing about Chambord. It looks like it should command you, but it actually slows you down.
Which I deeply, deeply despise.
And yet, somehow through this episode, you became calmer, although you might not see it.
What are you doing? Hush, shh, hush, shh. Don't tell anybody.
Okay, before Trebby starts charging some kind of admission, let's bring this back to today. Today, Château de Chambord is very much alive, just in a different way than Francis I imagined. It's a protected historical site, surrounded by one of the largest enclosed forests in Europe. Visitors get to walk the same grounds once reserved for kings, explore the rooftop skyline, and yes, climb that spiral staircase for themselves. Reviews talk about scale, about quiet, about feeling small in a way that's comforting, not overwhelming. A place that doesn't rush you. And that brings us to next week. Every castle holds more than one kind of story, so we want to know what you want to hear next. When you're done listening, leave us one word in the comments down below. Ghostly, cozy, or adventurous. That single word will shape the story we tell you next week.
It's story time, story time. Go grab a snack 'cause it's story time. Story time, story time. Go grab a drink 'cause it's story time.
The Caretaker and the Spiral Stair. The rain began the way it always did at the chateau. Not suddenly, not loudly, but as a quiet agreement between the clouds and the stone. The caretaker arrived just before dusk. He had done this walk so many times that his boots knew the path better than his thoughts did. Through the outer gate, across the damp gravel, past the towers that rose like patient sentinels, unmoved by centuries of weather. He unlocked the door with the same key he had carried for years. It was metal worn smooth by repetition. Inside, the castle breathed. Stone always did, if you listen long enough. The caretaker lit his lantern and began his rounds. Footsteps echoed gently, never sharply. The halls were empty, but not lonely. Chambord was never lonely. It held too much memory for that. Rain traced thin lines down the tall windows. Somewhere above, water tapped softly against the roof, as if counting time, one drop at a time. Then came the knock. It was not loud, it was not urgent, just 3 careful taps. As though the person on the other side didn't want to interrupt anything important. The caretaker paused. Visitors did not usually arrive in the rain, and never this late. Still, the castle had taught him many things over the years, and one of them was this: curiosity was never to be left unanswered. He opened the door. A stranger stood there, cloak damp, hair darkened by rain. Their eyes moved past the caretaker and into the hall beyond, widening slightly, as though he had stepped into a thought that he'd been carrying for a while. I'm sorry, the stranger said quietly. I didn't mean to trouble you. The rain caught me between villages. The caretaker smiled. It was an easy smile, the kind practiced by someone who had learned patience from stone. You're not troubling anything, he said. Come in, the castle doesn't mind. Inside, the air was cool and calm. The stranger removed their cloak and stood still for a moment, listening to the rain, to the echoes, to something they couldn't quite name. The caretaker walked with them, lantern light gliding across walls carved with symbols and time-worn designs. He spoke as they walked, not of dates or kings, but of how the castle rested. Some places make you feel small, he said. This one doesn't. It asks you to slow down instead. They turned a corner, and there it was, the spiral staircase. Two paths wound upward together, circling endlessly, never touching. Stone steps smoothed by centuries of feet. Light from the lantern climbed the walls, following the curve as if it had always intended to go higher. The strangers stopped. Oh, they breathed. The caretaker walked. He had learned that moments like this needed space. They say two people can climb it at the same time and never meet, the stranger said. The caretaker nodded. That's true. They began to ascend slowly and quietly. Their footsteps echoed differently now, softer, almost thoughtful. I like to think of it this way, the caretaker said after a while. Life doesn't always give us straight paths. Sometimes it lets us circle, revisit, and rise without rushing. The stranger rested a hand on the stone. It was cool and steady. I've been in a hurry for a long time, they admitted. The caretaker smiled again, this time without being seen. Most people are. At the top, they stood for a moment, listening to the rain fade. The sound had changed, lighter now, less insistent. The storm was passing. When they returned to the lower hall, the castle seemed different. Not changed exactly, but warmer somehow. As if it had noticed the conversation and approved. The stranger retrieved their cloak. I didn't expect to find rest here, they said, but I'm glad I did. The caretaker held the door open as the night air drifted in, clean and quiet. Chambord offers rest in its own way, he said. You just have to let it. The stranger stepped back into the world beyond the walls. The rain had stopped completely now, leaving the ground shining under the moonlight. They turned once more, as if to say something else, but the words weren't needed. The caretaker closed the door gently. He finished his rounds as he always did. Lanterns lit, halls checked, silence respected. Yet as he moved through the castle, he felt something subtle settle in. Not excitement, not pride, just a quiet understanding. Some nights the castle cared for him. Some nights it cared for others. And some nights, like this one, it cared for both at the same time. When the last lantern was set, the caretaker paused at the staircase once more. He looked up at the spirals, disappearing in the shadows, and felt no need to climb. There would be time. There always was. The castle stood, the night deepened, and Chambord rested, holding its stories patiently until someone was ready to listen.
Oh, that was such a cozy story. What a caretaker. Oh, I love story time. Thank you for being part of story time.
Today we walked through ambition carved in stone, ideals stretched larger than comfort, and a castle that survived not because it was perfect, but because it was unforgettable. Next time, we'll open the gates of another castle and listen for what it still has to say. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening.
History doesn't sleep.
And neither do we. And remember, keep your curiosity torches lit.
And the drawbridge to wonder always lowered.
Trebby swears these walls can talk. Says it mutters when we walk, claims it's magic, ancient lore. It's just the wind, or maybe more. Who built it? We don't know. Why here? That's the show. Did it fall? Did it last? Every stone's a question asked. Castles from around the world. Raise your voice, let the banners unfurl. Castles from around the world. Every stone's got a story to hurl. Sing it loud, sing it proud, sing it true, true. From the ancient to the ruined and new. Castles from around the world. We come to wander the ages with you.
Come explore, come wonder, come along.